Water is an ever more precious resource on our planet. Guaranteeing enough supply to citizens and industry is a critical issue today, as climate change and population growth add pressure. Much of the fresh water the world uses today comes from rivers, lakes, and other surface water sources. But there is another more stable source that can be used: the water that lies underground, groundwater.
If we look just 15 to 18 years from now, we will see that around half of the world's population will be living in areas with water stress. So it's extremely serious to protect the resources that we have and use them most efficiently.
Increase of conflicts and interest around water resources in general has opened the eyes all around the world for using groundwater because it's a more sustainable resource than surface water. And the climate change will make the surface water vary even more. But the groundwater is stable, same quality, same amount, all the year round.
Groundwater is rain that has filtered through the earth and collected in aquifers underground. In Denmark and other areas around the world, groundwater is much more plentiful than surface water. To benefit from groundwater, however, you need to know where the groundwater resources are located and how well protected they are.
Luckily, Denmark has a long experience in protecting water, in mapping it, finding it, and setting up the right regulation.
Denmark has built up over 60 years' experience in managing groundwater and has encountered challenges and found solutions along the way. Denmark derives 100% of its drinking water from groundwater. When properly cared for, it's much purer and requires less treatment than surface water.
In Denmark, the groundwater is clean. We don't have advanced treatment of the groundwater. We don't add chlorine to disinfect the groundwater. We just simply drink it.
When extracted from the ground, the water is aerated and filtered to remove its natural content of iron and manganese. After this, the water is ready for consumption. Groundwater must be used sustainably. Once damaged, it can take decades to recover.
The sustainable way of using groundwater is to abstract what is a natural flow, what is a balanced flow, and not over-abstract and mining the groundwater aquifer. And to use the sustainable way, you need to know exactly where to abstract the water, where to make the wells, how much to pump from each well, and have a management system that control and monitoring the way they abstract the water.
Benefiting from groundwater requires understanding and knowledge. With a long tradition of using groundwater, Denmark is well experienced in mapping and protecting the resource. Throughout its history, Denmark has faced threats to both the quality and quantity of the groundwater, which has driven the development of new technologies as well as new management strategies. The Danish experience and knowledge in this area can be used in many places around the world. One of the technologies that Denmark recently has been developing is aerial mapping of groundwater.
The SkyTEM system has been developed as the only airborne electromagnetic system to be focusing on mapping groundwater structures, because that requires very detailed and very precise measurements, and you have to be able to distinguish even very small changes in your signals.
Today we have mapped around 40% of the total area of Denmark, which have given some excellent results of where do you have the aquifers, how well are they protected, and so on. We still do drillings, but first we do these large airborne geophysical surveys. So we scan the Earth and then we get a fairly good picture of the Earth. And then based on this, you can do follow-up on the ground with drillings to get more detailed information. This way you can say you combine the different data, the airborne geophysical data and the drillings, and you get a much more detailed information about the Earth than would have been possible if you only did drillings or you only did geophysics.
With better knowledge of the groundwater, it's much easier to implement integrated water management.
The unique thing is that Denmark totally derives on groundwater for water supply. And therefore we are, you could say, we are on a burning platform.
Around the world, some countries experience constant dropping groundwater levels and wells running dry as a result of over-extraction of groundwater resources. The key to building a groundwater model is sustainability. A long-term strategy requires resources, political will, and management policy.
You have to protect those groundwater reservoirs. You have to know how to manage those groundwater reservoirs which you have found and you have assessed the quality of. Then you have to manage it. You have to use it for drinking water supply. And therefore you also have the management skills. So all those things go together in a total concept for dealing with groundwater. We call it groundwater management.
In recent years, Danish companies have exported their groundwater know-how and technology abroad, winning contracts for large-scale projects across the world.
I think there is a good holistic approach to groundwater management in Denmark.